Shalom Habarim. Hello, friends. Welcome. So, we're talking about the most superior, the most eternal, and completely all powerfully omnipresent type of security that there is in life. And that is something that is provided by and made possible by the proper application of wisdom. Part of self-mastery equals absolute and total and permanent security. And we're talking about anything and everything whatsoever that can happen in and within this human existence and life in general can all be managed safely and sustainably, healthily, wealthily, and prosperously. The key here is that you have to be able to preemptively identify anything that is a potential threat before it even becomes anything of a threat. And this is based on the basic logic of the fact that there's a time and a place for everything under heaven, right? There's a time and a place for everything on earth and under heaven. I hope I have that right. And essentially what goes on is that based on a time when something in life begins, it can either pose a threat or it cannot. Knowing the difference between these times is key. So now how does this work and how does this look in everyday life, my friends? How can you live your life in a state of absolute eternal safety and security? And I'm talking about safety and security where nobody can breach this. Nobody. Not the biggest army in the world, nothing. Nobody can breach this security. The only person who can breach this is us ourselves if we act foolishly. And that's it. Because God is with us, okay? And should also, and hopefully, you will be with him and he will be with you. All peoples, right? So that everybody can live a peaceful, a godly, legitimate, happy, and a blessed life. Here's how it works, okay? Now, listen. Say, for example, I post CVs or I send out applications to different companies, right? What if I actually posted a CV on like a trade or a commerce website where a couple thousand potential employers can see my so-called CV and also see certain amounts of my information? Well, once again, one might think, okay, there are risks involved. Whenever you have your information in the public sphere, there can be security risks. There can be security risks anywhere in life, yet they are only existent at certain times. And knowing the times when there are potential security threats allows you to identify what is a threat, when it actually even infinitesimally arises to begin with, and thus you can preemptively eliminate or annihilate the threat, okay? And once again, this works because of and by way of how life is cyclical, and there are times when there are automatically, there are vibes within the universe, and Earth, human, and life activity is also moved and driven a certain way where these vibes can also give way to aggressive or potentially offensive, and even also at other times manipulative or very clever and then actually manipulative behavior by human beings because of the way that the periods, like the daily periods of the cycles of life, are actually currently being pitched by the cosmos. So in other words, there's times when the way that the vibes in life are and how life is cyclical, and there's different periods with different qualities and sort of different energies that have a tendency to sort of inspire people to act a certain way or to think a certain way or to do different things. There's a time when there are threats that are possible that can exist by way of human behavior and how people can interact with each other. And there's a time when there isn't any threat. Knowing the difference between this makes all the difference. And this is everywhere, permanently, operationally effective, okay? Doesn't matter who you are, what situation, wherever. There's a time when there is safety. There is a time when there is danger. And the only time there is danger is when there are certain life cycle periods wherein these life cycle periods, and how I said earlier, how the universe at that time is going through, or let's say the energy in the universe is going through a phase where there's an energetic quality or a vibe that can give way to human beings acting, let's say, selfishly, aggressively, unbrotherly, or even deceitfully. And listen, most humans are not intentionally wicked or evil. Nobody, in fact, pretty much the large majority of human beings are not intentionally wicked, evil, or deceitful, okay? It's the subtle sort of qualities of these different periods of the cycles of life that actually cause different humans to commit or to have ideas and then turn these ideas into actions that actually lead to anything that could be classified as negative or dangerous, or that what is a security threat to anything and everything, including life and peace and whatever. It's always got to do with what time it is. So for those that are learning self-mastery, there will be times when you will realize that, wow, with the technical knowledge that I have, I could do this. And then your conscience will tell you, listen, you have to follow the law, do what's right and legit. You will be divinely rewarded, okay? So you make the right choice. What about those who ignore their conscience, or who have been deceived by the vain imaginations and fake and false philosophies of human beings, and who don't really have like a good, legitimate, ethical, moral, and legally legit mindset to work with? It's going to be harder for those people to actually make decisions that are legitimate. So you have to practice self-mastery. We all have to be legit to a certain degree, because there's one creator of us all, and his law is universal, and it works with him, and you live with him, and you're blessed by him, and it's good. And it can also be the opposite. So in other words, do good, right? So listen, the thing is that there's a timestamp on anything that's important nowadays. If I get an email from somebody, right, I know what time that email came in. I know what time it was when that person wrote that email in their time zone. I know what day it was. I know what hour and what minute it was. And I know what was on their mind when they wrote to me, right? So if somebody sends me a message with a business proposition, if I send a CV somewhere, an application, right, a resume, if somebody responds to me, I have a timestamp on that, and I can see, okay, this was written at this time of the day, and here's what goes on at that time of the day, right? So I know that this person's intentions, even the mindset and the ideas and the motivations and the interests that this person had when they wrote to me and suggested this to me, right? So the difference between success, the difference between miracles and catastrophes is all got to do with being able to see clearly and see through and be a magi and a seer and actually see and know what cycles of life you're in, and to monitor those, to live in harmony with them, and to pay attention to the cycles of life, because in certain life cycles, there is danger that can exist, that can actually manifest itself through human ideas, thoughts, deeds, action, and actual real life results. And there's other times when there isn't any danger. And the key to seeing and comprehending and discerning this is quite simply wisdom. Now, I'll attach a link to a certain book in the description. Read it, study it, and apply it. And you will be safe and secure and healthy and wealthy permanently. And nothing and nobody can stop you. Nothing and nobody can threaten you except yourself if you are foolish or the opposite of wise. And remember, there are varying degrees to this too. So there's no danger in life that just comes out of nowhere, okay? There are times when there is danger, and there are times when there is absolutely no danger whatsoever. The key is that you have to practice self-mastery, be circumspect, monitor the life cycles you're in, and live in harmony with them and be prudent a little bit, and your reward is massive, okay? How many people out there can claim that they can foresee the future and make it a certain way, and that on a daily basis, okay? That's part of the benefits of self-mastery, okay? How do you do self-mastery? The first step is, what time of day is it using the winter time? It's 6:32, okay. So we're in a daily period of G, okay. We're also currently in a positive short lunar unit. We're in a long 3.5 day lunar unit. I'm in the second annual life cycle period. I'm in a 6 simple overall period of human life. And I have an overview of my soul personality. Okay, so I've got 9 different cycles of life that I have to monitor, ideally every 3 hours during the day, or at least once a day. So I know where I am, I know what time it is, and I know what has to be done, and it's blessed, and it's cosmically supported because it's all in due season. And that's how you live. So you practice mastery. Right? Self-mastery, mastering your life and your destiny right now. And your destiny is even good already, ongoing.